There's an analogy I'd like to use with two doctors, and I like to use this analogy whenever I'm contemplating whether or not I'm qualified to speak on any particular subject. As you sit here, close your eyes and imagine you have just been told you're a victim of a strange illness that must be treated immediately. Now, before you are two doctors, and it is up to you to decide which you will choose. The first doctor is one who just graduated. Everything he has learned is fresh on his mind. He has studied his heart out and continues his studies by habitually reviewing his textbooks. You are his very first patient. The other doctor is someone who has practiced her whole entire life. It's been a long time since college graduation, and so she doesn't really recall most of her quizzes or assignments that she was given back in school. But she has over 30 years of experience, and she is wrinkled and gray with practice. Which doctor would you choose? Now, although I am not a doctor, I've had experience with situations such as this in my occupation of being a paraprofessional in the special education department. Now, I currently have the least education in my field, being surrounded by teachers and amazing mentors who I aspire to be like, but this doesn't mean that I am the least qualified. And so I've been able to work hard to get where I am due to the experiences that have shaped me and made me fit for the work that I do each day. And to represent this, I have brought with me a stack of my files. Now, these are packets and packets. I have more, but this is just an example of the kinds of experiences that I have. I pulled these files for review and have collected them to show my experiences and to remember what tools I have and what skill sets I have to be able to do my job well. And so others have had similar experiences to this that show us what truly makes one qualified to speak on the matters that are important to them. So, Michael Jackson's 2001 Oxford University commencement speech is important because for someone with little to no formal education, Mr. Jackson was able to experience most opportunities that the majority of us will never be able to. So this is relevant to you as my audience because of the moments we receive as college students to better our education in a non-traditional manner. This is worth our time to discuss, considering the difference a textbook versus years of experience and education, hands-on, will make on our careers, and that can be represented by the analogy I previously discussed. Real-world experience enriches your passion for the subject, gives you more credibility, and at the end of the day represents your character. In Michael Jackson's 2001 Oxford commencement speech, he touches on his ability to seize experiences all around the world despite his lack of formal education, which I believe is really powerful. With humility, he begins this idea by listing the incredulously influential beings who had spoken in the same place prior to him. This includes, but is not limited to, Mother Teresa, Malcolm X, Ronald Reagan, and even Albert Einstein. He explains that he may not sound the most qualified because of the abilities of these other people, but he says, I do have a claim to having experienced more places and cultures than most people will ever see. Human knowledge consists not only of libraries of parchment and ink, it is also comprised of the volumes of knowledge that are written on the human heart, chiseled on the human soul, and engraved on the human psyche. So this quote has just allowed me to really review what success meant to me, and I realized that it was experience itself and what that continuously has brought to me and will bring to me in the future as I continue to practice this idea. Experience causes a ripple of effects to create a student's credibility, and it can create passion, dependability, and and character, and whatever we choose to do with our lives and the knowledge that we cultivate. Such impacts on a college student can help further their career and propel them into better positions. These can be applied to real-world situations, including that of the speaker, Mr. Jackson, and his involvement in a variety of cultures and events around the globe. The relevancy of this topic in today's world comes from the transition from textbook education to hands-on experience in the last decade or so. If you will open your eyes to the kind of education that is being promoted in our present day, you might notice how much professional qualification relies on the individual's ability to perform rather than memorize. So, adapting to today's social and educational context will allow anyone who chooses to do so a wider perspective and, in turn, a greater ability to gain a well-rounded life experience for themselves. As a college student and you as college students today, we can all better understand the importance of a non-traditional education, considering the quote previously delivered in this commencement speech, not only because of our growing educational truths, but because of what alternatives the world has needed to embrace technologically due to the COVID-19 virus. The ideas Mr. Jackson brought up have aged well as it has exponentially grown relevancy. In our ever-changing world, it is vital to each individual's education that we focus a little more on life experience as opposed to only highlighting the accomplishments of those who perform perfectly in their academic world. Mr. Jackson's speech has encouraged me to reevaluate my own experiences and find more benefits within all that I have gone through to meet the qualifications that I do today, especially those outside of the scholastic realm. As an audience of college students, I hope you find a somewhat similar reaction and decide to appreciate what you've done outside of your studies, because that also, if not more, makes you who you are. These are many ideas of what is going on in our world today, and there are many long-term and unforeseen effects in ways that we are educated, how we educate, and how we can become better people because of this. There is plenty of time for us to readjust our personal perspectives of passion, education, and character, to experience life firsthand rather than solely trusting the words of another individual is what will truly make us more credible people.